Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. If everybody is ready, and we'll get started so we can get out of here. We've got some updates to give you. It's going to be me speaking, and then it will be Dr. Martha Whyte, and then the Commission President, Mario Chavez, will be next, and then finished up by the Mayor, Mayor Adrian Perkins. Okay, I want to speak to you today as the Sheriff and as the Homeland Security Director for the parish. I want to update you on a few things. The first thing would be the Caddo Parish Courthouse. We've gotten an order from the judge there, the Chief Judge Bobby Waddell, and it's going to continue being limited hours and limited services just like it has been. That has been extended now through May the 1st, according to that order that we received. I want to update you on the number of deputies that we have within the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office. We have right now 10 that have tested positive. We have 11 tests that are pending on deputies, and we have 25 deputies that are isolated at home. So those numbers, as I say, will be changing from time to time, because once the isolation is through, we can put them back to work. But that's just an update of what kind of serious problems that we have. We have no inmates that are testing positive at CCC. Of the 900 and some odd inmates or pretrial, and of the total of 1,200 and something, we have none that have tested positive thus far, and that's such a good thing thus far, but we're prepared should that change. I want to thank the judges, Caddo District judges, and I want to thank the District Attorney. We have urged them, starting about 2.5 weeks ago, to work with us and do something with our pretrial numbers, those that were in jail awaiting bond. And the judges and the District Attorney and the Sheriff's Office, we have worked diligently to get rid of and to release all inmates that were charged with anything, although serious, that they were charged with anything that was nonviolent. And we have released them through ROR bonds, and we've released almost 100, and we've released about, I believe the numbers are about 50 that are now wearing ankle monitors, which is a process that we've really ramped up over the last 2.5 weeks. We are way ahead of the curve. The Supreme Court of Louisiana issued an order yesterday, or recommendations, about how district courts should operate. And I'm very proud of the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office, the Caddo judges, and the Caddo DA that we are so far ahead of the curve there. And it's a serious, serious problem when we start releasing prisoners. But I want to assure the public that we are not releasing violent criminals, and we do have room, and we'll be making any kinds of arrests on any kind of violence that occurs in Caddo Parish, and we'll be dealing with any crime. These are prisoners, these are inmates, these are pretrial folks that were going to come to trial, and we think that we can monitor them successfully outside of the jail. That's how serious this problem is. When you hear Steve Prator start talking about releasing inmates and encouraging the judges and DA to start releasing, then you know that it's something that is extremely serious and extremely needed. These folks are being vetted very, very carefully. So I want to assure you of that. No violent crime in Caddo Parish, no serious crime, no minor crime will be overlooked. We will continue to do what we have to do. We'll continue to enforce crime. There is an uptick right now in violent crime. I believe you might have seen some of those statistics or some of that evidence, but violent crime, as far as domestic violence, is increasing. I want you to know that while these deputies, and I can speak for the other governmental services within Shreveport, the fire department, the police department, while you have people home, you still have to continue to do what you normally do, just with fewer folks. And so we're continuing to provide all the services that are necessary as first responders. You can rest assured we're going to be there. If we're the last one standing, we're going to be there. But it's not that dire to where we're talking about last men standing. I want to tell you also Texas, I got a call last night from the Texas Department, the Texas Rangers or the Highway Patrol there. Got a call, and they are starting this morning, have roadblocks at Highway 1 and Highway 2 going into Texas. They have the roadblocks, and they're stopping every third car to interview them to see what their intentions are as far as coming into Texas. Hopefully that's not going to cause anybody any grief. The ones that live over there, that commute back and forth, or live over here and commute over there for Texas, there's a process that you can go through to expedite that, and you can go to dps.texas.gov/COVID travel, and you can just Google that, and you can figure out the little short form that you have to fill out that might expedite your travels. But that's on Highway 1 and Highway 2. We have continued through the Homeland Security to request from Baton Rouge, from the Governor's Office of Homeland Security, we have continued to request equipment. We've asked for 20,000 masks for our first responders here, because we provide them not just for the Sheriff's Office, but all first responders in Caddo Parish. We've asked for 20,000 for over a week now. We've received 2,500. We're hoping to get the rest of them. We're constantly working, and that takes a lot of negotiations and a lot of pressure. We did receive 5,000 Tyvek suits, which are very, very helpful, and we got them from the state. However, every one of the 5,000 is a 5X. Now, a 5X is, several of us could fit into a 5X. And so we're trying to get that straight. So the reason I'm telling you these things is that we in Caddo Parish at the Sheriff's Office and Homeland Security Office, and I also can speak for the city services and parish services, we are on the phone, we are working, we are up to date with just about everything that you see on the national news, on the state news, coming from the governor's office. We are on it, okay? We are on it. And so things like discussing whether there should be a curfew or not, we're on it. We're trying to figure out if that would do us any good, or is it going to shove more people on the streets at the particular time. Things like getting more testing sites, getting rapid test kits. Those kinds of things. Don't think that we're just sitting back on our fannies not doing anything. We are working constantly trying to provide for the citizens of Caddo Parish, and we are successful at that. Whether or not to require masks, those discussions, we're heavily involved in them. Makeshift hospitals, the National Guard. I got a call a few minutes ago about, is the National Guard coming to Shreveport? Well, the National Guard has been here for quite some time, and they also help us deliver these PPEs. However, being 5Xs, it took probably more of them to have to bring them up here. But they are constantly working with us. They are there to help us direct traffic if we get shortages, and work in testing sites. So the National Guard is already here, already helping, and it's not like they're fixing to take over. I wanted to explain that to folks. I wanted to also talk for just a moment about what the terms stay at home and essential business. I've gotten so many phone calls from people asking and justifying how theirs is an essential business. I've gotten so many phone calls and messages and Facebooks about how we're not doing enough closing down particular businesses. We cannot enforce our way out of this thing. However, we are there to take whatever actions we need to, and same thing with the Shreveport Police Department. I know there are some large box stores that we've had to work with that have now changed the way that they do business. And so when we talk about essential businesses, there are many, many businesses that have complied, willingly complied, and I thank them so much for what they've done. But there are some businesses that have not complied, that have not done what they're supposed to do. I was at I won't mention the business. I won't even tell you the location. You'd figure it out, and if I keep talking, I'm probably going to tell you the business. But it was a large department store that was open for business. I drove by at 7 o'clock, and it looked like it was the Black Friday before Christmas, okay, or the Black Friday right after Thanksgiving. And so it looked like that. You had children riding the sides of shopping carts as the parents pushed them into the store. No masks. The only masks I saw were those that were underneath someone's chin. It was just really, really, it was frightening, the lack of responsibility that some people were showing. And all I can say is I can explain this to them, but I can't make them understand it. Okay? It's going to take some personal responsibility from each one of us, because it's not just us risking, maybe I'll catch it, but I'll probably get over it. That isn't the deal. What might happen is you might catch it, and you might transmit it to someone else that has a health condition, and they might die. All right, we've had 15 deaths in Caddo Parish alone, and there'll be more. Okay, it's going to happen. Or you might get it and have very minor symptoms, and you might transmit it to someone that has more serious symptoms, and all of a sudden that takes up a hospital bed or a ventilator that one of my grandchildren might need. Okay, it gets real personal when you look at it like that. And I'm not trying to talk down to most folks. This is like the preacher talking to the choir. A lot of people that are listening to this, you're already abiding by it, and I appreciate that. And the citizens of Caddo Parish, the ones that abide by it, appreciate it. But it's you knotheads that are out there deciding to do what you want to do and risking everybody else. That's where it becomes ridiculous. Okay, so please take what I'm saying serious. I usually joke around and tease and play, and I ain't playing now. This is a serious situation we're in. And you can talk to our healthcare professionals, and they will tell you it's serious, and they're not playing either. I don't know what it will take to get through some people's minds and their heads, but please take this seriously and stay away from everybody else. Let's get through this thing as quick as we can. The longer you prolong it, the more problems we're going to have and the more risks we're going to take. I think that's about wraps up everything that I had to say. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Martha Whyte.
Questions at the end?
I don't want to take up their time. I'd rather do it at the end. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon. I thought a long time about what I wanted to say. I know that I've stood up here and said very similar things multiple times, and I know people are tired of hearing it, and they're tired of the situation. But the fact of the matter is, the truth is the truth. If we want to stop this pandemic, if we want to break this chain of infectivity, the only way that we are going to make a difference is if we all individually say, I'm going to do what's needed for me to do. There's no excuse for not following the guidelines that have been set out there. All of us are suffering financially. All of us are afraid. We all are trying to do our best to be calm and do the right things. But the people who are going out and about, who are ignoring those guidelines, you are putting everyone at risk. Most importantly, the people that you love and are surrounding yourself with. Because you cannot tell by looking at the person next to you whether they are sick or not. You cannot tell whether you are sick or not until you're really starting to have symptoms. So please, please, do what's right. Stay home. I'm going to tell you, people have asked me a lot about what are the symptoms that they need to worry about. You need to know what your baseline temperature is. All of us are running a little bit lower than we did before. 98.6 was the normal. Now most of us run around 97. Learn what your baseline temperature is. When you have a low-grade temp, 99, 100, call your doc and just say, hey, I'm running a temperature. What do I need to watch out for? We are seeing people who are having abdominal pain, GI symptoms, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, as their first symptoms. The cough is not always the first thing that you're going to see. It's sometimes the last. So sore throat, headache, any of these other symptoms I mentioned, make sure that you're calling your doctor. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. You don't always have to go see someone. If you are well enough to stay home, stay home. That's the best option for you. Even if you think you have it, it's not going to matter. We can't do much for you except for help you, support you through it. So unless you're severely ill, unless you're having shortness of breath, which what I mean is difficulty really taking a good breath in, that kind of panic feeling like you can't get a good breath, unless you're breathing fast or having trouble breathing, or unless you have a lot of underlying health conditions, please stay home, call your doc, give him updates, and make sure that you're taking care of yourself with lots of fluids and lots of good rest and good diet. For those of us that are well and at home and trying to do the right thing, or maybe not sure that that's what they even want to do, realize you can do a lot of things at home. You can work in your garden, you can, take a run, you can exercise, you can be out with your kids. Just try to social distance and make sure that you are doing things to keep your mind and your body healthy. I do, again, I know it's the same message that we're saying over and over again. People have asked me about masks. Here's what I'll tell you about masks. If you are sick, if you are immunocompromised or have an issue, a health issue that you're concerned about, your doctor's concerned about, absolutely wear a mask. If you are not and healthy, it's not really going to help you as much as people think it will. The reason why is we tend to fiddle with it. We tend to not always wear it the correct way, move it up, move it down, take it on, take it off. Once you do all that, it's a waste of time. So I think the mayor's going to talk about some good ways to learn how to do that, how to wear a mask. And if you have one, then that's great. I'm not totally opposed to it because we have a lot of disease in our area, but just know how to do it right. That's really all I have to say. Thank you. Okay. I will. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Caddo Parish Commissioner Mario Chavez. First off, thank you to the sheriff. I know you have a tough call on your hands, and you've been doing a lot of work, and my prayers are with you. Thank you, Martha. Community, would please lift up Martha's husband. He's fighting this virus right now, so please lift him up in prayers. We need to all join together to pray for our mayor and our sheriff. They're working together. I know the sheriff said a lot of you don't see us together on the television, on the front lines, but I guarantee you, behind closed doors, we are working for you, and everybody's working together on this. So please lift your leaders up in prayer, lift up the governor and the president. These are unprecedented times, and we all have to work together on this. We continue to urge every Caddo Parish citizen to be in compliance with the governor's stay-at-home order until April the 30th. For the health and safety of every Caddo citizen, please limit your activity to essential trips only and continue to maintain a 6-foot distance and wash your hands. We are continuing to take precautions at all of our parish facilities. Our parish facilities remain closed, including all parks and recreation sites. We continue to ask all citizens to please respect all barricades in these sites and do not remove or cross any barricades to enter any closed facilities. Now, something a little bit more near and dear to my heart, fostering dogs. While our animal services operation is closed to the public, we do encourage citizens to consider adoption or fostering any animal during these times. As we continue to intake stray and lost animals every day, citizens are encouraged to view animals in our care online at caddo.org, caddo.org, and a virtual tour on Facebook is also available. Citizens can visit animal services by appointment only or by calling 318-226-6624. Again, that phone number is 318-226-6624. I know personally my wife has asked me, can we foster a couple dogs in the interim? And I finally broke down. I said, sure, even though we already have our own. But I think that quickly escalated, and I learned that we may be fostering some goats pretty soon. But if you guys are home and you have kids and you guys aren't doing anything, why not? Why not foster a couple puppies or some dogs? We have a lot of animal at CPAWS that need a good home for a little while, and I think that will entertain your kids and give you guys something to do. moving on, I know we've all said this before, if I only had the time. Well, now we do. These unfortunate circumstances have given us the availability to sit at home with our families and reconnect and do things that we haven't been able to do for a long time. I started looking around at all the different ways that people are gathering together. Lowe's and Home Depot are offering free in-store pickups where you can call, make the order, pull up, and they will put the items in your trunk. I know you've heard the sheriff say this and Martha Whyte say this. She asked you to please stay at home, please distance yourselves. But if you must get out, if you must do things and obtain hardware or do things around your house, please don't get out and go into the big box stores. We have a lot of technology that we can utilize nowadays. If you guys need groceries, there's a cool new website called Shipt, S-H-I-P-T, www.shipt.com. You can grocery shop on Shipt.com, and they will bring your groceries right to your door and drop them off. We tried this. It was amazing. Everything that we needed, we had. It was right there available. Walmart, Brookshire's, Super One, Kroger, even Hobby Lobby. I called them, and they said, absolutely. We're not advertising that we do curbside pickup, but even Hobby Lobby said, we will accommodate. If you call us and you want to do some art projects for your kids, order it, show up, tell us what car you're going to be in, and we'll put it in your car. I think things like this are very important. I've seen a lot of families coming back together. They're doing things like cooking classes. I see virtual workouts together, and I love it on Facebook. I see people fishing, virtual church going on. I've even seen families camping in their backyard. These are great times for families to come back together and reconnect. I see a lot of people trying to teach their kids how to drive, something they haven't done in a long time. I think personally I'm going to teach my wife how to back our boat trailer into the driveway, so this may keep us occupied for about a week. But things like this are really bringing the families together, and I implore you to think outside the box and look around at your family that's sitting there and say, it's time for us to get together and rekindle our family. Call those distant cousins you haven't talked to in a while, and just talk to them on the phone. I know your mom would love to hear from you, your father. Again, we know these are trying times for all of our citizens. By adhering to the guidelines set forth and practicing sound social practices, we will all get through this time together. Thank you.
Afternoon, everybody. I want to say there is a lot for us to be discouraged about in our community right now. On last night, we had an interfaith meeting. We did an ecumenical prayer, citywide ecumenical prayer, where all of our faith leaders came together, and one of our faith leaders described our situation as a storm. But let me tell you, after coming out of last night and hearing our faith leaders and seeing the citizens' response, I'm actually encouraged today by what I heard last night and what I've seen throughout the community. We have so many heroes amongst us. We acknowledged our healthcare workers that are on the front lines. We acknowledged our first responders and those essential employees that are out working hard for us every day and for our safety every single day. So I'm encouraged. The majority of our citizens are doing the right thing. The majority of our businesses are doing the right thing. But with this virus, just a few bad apples can spoil the whole bunch. And because we have been getting a lot of complaints about those few bad apples, we've had to step up the precautions that we are taking. As you all know, on yesterday, I declared a public health emergency for the city of Shreveport to take a step further. It went into effect at 6 p.m. and will continue to remain in effect until 6 a.m. on May 2nd, 2020. The declaration includes an order limiting restaurant operations to curbside or drive-through pickup, and patrons must remain in their vehicles at all times. There is an exception for downtown due to the constraints of parking, where patrons can walk outside of their vehicle up to the places where they are ordering from. This is an added safety measure to the governor's order, which still allow customers to enter restaurants to pick up their orders. While most restaurants were doing a good job of implementing social distancing in pickup lines, we were still receiving too many complaints about customers not keeping 6 feet between themselves and others while waiting for orders. This order reduces the amount of contact between citizens, helping slow the spread of COVID-19, and we know we can save lives this way. My order does not, however, halt delivery services. Restaurants and third-party delivery services can continue to deliver orders. And patrons can walk to downtown restaurants, as I've already covered. We've been asked a couple of questions, one of which is, hey, can DoorDash and some of the other pickup services come into the restaurant? Well, those are considered contract workers often, so yes, they are allowed to walk into the restaurant. Some other complaints we've been getting is about liquor stores or pawn shops. Let me speak to the liquor stores. If you have the ability to do drive-through, we encourage you to utilize your drive-through rather than having your customers come into your establishments. Again, a few bad apples can completely ruin this, and we will enforce things to keep our community safe. The sheriff talked about his employees that have been directly affected by this, and I'd like to quickly talk about some of mine. We have 5 Shreveport police officers that have been confirmed to have COVID-19. We have 1 Shreveport fireman that has also been confirmed, and sadly, we suffered a death in our public works department from an employee that contracted the deadly virus. And there has been a plethora of scares throughout city government, almost touching every single department. With those scares, right now, there are 16 Shreveport fire personnel who were possibly exposed to the coronavirus. They have been ordered to self-quarantine and seek treatment. Because of this, we ordered the immediate closure of Shreveport Fire Station number 4. That's the fire station directly beside Booker T. Washington High School. And Fire Engine 4 and EMS 4 have been relocated to Central Station for the next 72 hours so that we can continue to serve the public. In closing, I want to reiterate the importance of adhering to the safety measures and the guidance we are putting in place. You have heard it from us day in and day out, and we will not stop beating this drum. According to the New York Times, which did an analysis of cell phone data to determine mobility within cities, Caddo Parish has only decreased its mobility by 58%. The national average is 84%. That number does not coincide with the urgency that we as a community should have, considering we have 377 cases and 15 deaths. Those aren't just numbers. Those are family members. Those are your neighbors. So please, please, please adhere to the guidance that we're putting out. We have to do better. COVID-19 is a highly infectious disease, and it is life-threatening. There is no vaccine or treatment for COVID-19. Only behavioral changes, like social distancing, are the most effective means we have of slowing the spread of this disease and not overwhelming our medical system. We need everyone to stay at home, but we also need people to tell their friends, family members, and neighbors who are not staying at home, who are not practicing social distancing, that they are endangering not only themselves, but our community overall. We are all in this together, and we have to work together to slow the spread and save lives. Again, this is not a time to panic. We are prepared for this, and we will persevere. Thank you. At this time, I'll take any questions.
Mayor, just I know you walk-up windows for restaurants. So what about for them to stay in their cars? What about the ones that are in the community who don't have cars and don't have walk-up windows?
Yeah, so for people that aren't coming into restaurants by driving a car, that are walking up, that restaurant can bring their food outside to that particular individual. If you are standing up and you're a restaurant where a lot of people are walking up, please maintain that 6-foot distance. We're asking restaurants to put markers on the ground if that's the case, where they get a lot of walk-up traffic. And we've also seen that in the big box stores that were talked about earlier. I also thank you for that question, because I want to thank those big box stores for putting those precautions in place. Again, with the governor's order, there's a lot of leeway for private businesses to operate and still put some of our citizens in danger. So it's not a time to operate and use that leeway. It's a time to take the necessary precautionary steps. And again, we're seeing that from a majority of our private entities throughout the city.
I have a question from Lloyd Allen, who says, why is Hobby Lobby essential? That's the problem. Too many businesses open that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
And also, I went and looked around myself, and I saw a lot of businesses open that, like a fashion one on Jewella Avenue. I saw Academy Sports and Outdoors, and these don't seem essential. So how are you taking it? What's going on with that?
So with essential services, if you read the governor's executive order, it's within the guidelines are within the executive order, but also for those that are on the fringe where you might question, look at Section 5. Hobby Lobby, for instance, or Academy Sports, they sell, guns and ammunition. That has been considered essential during this time. And there are several things. Not everything within the store is essential, but there are things that people need to go into these stores for. Appliances. Let's just say somebody's plumbing breaks down and they need to replace that plumbing. We need clean water to flow throughout the city and in our households right now. So those are essential material, and that's the reason why some of these stores are allowed to remain open. Now, the pure fashion store that you just told me about, please report that to Shreveport Police Department or the Sheriff's Office so that we can go and check it out. Some of these places are obviously falling outside of the essential services needed, and we need the community to help us enforce this. There's no way that we can do it all on our own.
What number do they call for that?
They can call Shreveport Police Department. They can call 911 and do a report. They can email the police department. They can email myself. I get reports all the time.
Thank you.
John?
Fire department, do they have enough manning to take care of the needs with those people that have been quarantined?
We do at this time have enough manning, but that is something we're consistently concerned about. Again, our firefighters, our first responders are on the front lines every single day, risking exposure to themselves, risking exposure to their families. And what we've seen, again, we have a scare right now. So yes, we can accommodate this scare, and we're going to wait until the time period elapses where we know we can bring those firemen back to duty. But how many scares can we handle? That's the reason why it's so important for us to flatten this curve as quickly as possible and slow down the spread of this virus in our community.
Mayor, one of my viewers wanted to know where can we get masks and gloves, and or are they even available?
Yes, so there's a lot of local entities actually producing masks and gloves, and I want to address it in this manner. Our healthcare workers have priority with those masks and gloves. They are the ones coming in contact with the most confirmed cases in our community. They are getting certified, medically certified masks and gloves. Now, for the rest of us in the community, we don't need medically certified masks and gloves. We can still protect ourselves with those that are somewhat makeshift that are being produced in our community, and there are several entities that are putting that out. Later today, we will push out information about those local manufacturers that are producing these things, along with instructions on how to properly wear masks and gloves. As Dr. Martha Whyte already pointed out, she's seen some people wearing it around the community, but if you don't know how to wear it properly and you're touching the mask, you're taking off the gloves, you actually can put yourself at a higher risk than if you weren't wearing it at all. So we'll put out information on where you can get masks and gloves in the community and how to wear it with CDC guidelines on how to don and doff this type of equipment.
Okay.
All right.
Is that all the questions for the mayor?
No, I'm ready to use.
Okay. All right. Sheriff, you're up. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay.
How is your staffing with your people that are being quarantined?
We're doing well as can be expected. We saw this coming at the very early stages, and we started sending people home, so we were working as few as we could so we could keep some, and so that's worked out well for us. I'm proud. You hate to say you're proud of what's going on, but I'm proud at how far we're ahead of the curve. We've been very proactive in that respect and in many respects. As far as the big box stores going, we have recently, Chief Raymond has recently, we've talked about it. They have, a couple of them have really stepped up, and they're going to start counting customers going in and doing that sort of thing for us. Some have not been so compliant. Some continue not to be compliant, and I don't want to throw them all in and cuss all the big box stores or all the small stores or the Hobby Lobbies and things like that. But you all know what's essential and what's not essential. And maybe it may be something at one store that is essential, but an Easter dress is not, okay? And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that store should have the Easter dresses. They should have them roped off or whatever kind of little silly products that is not essential. Now, I want them all to succeed. But if you're out there and you see something going on that you don't like, you can call us. We will try to help with that situation. But I'll tell you what will help with it. You call the management. You call the local, you call the home office, and you bitch at them. And you tell them they are not helping us at all. And then that'll keep us, because we don't have the deputies, and the police department doesn't have the police department enough officers to handle domestic violence, working shorthanded, and to start running around to see if somebody's selling some kind of little hobby something. Okay? So you take it on yourself and help us. Call them. Use the power of the consumer. And remember, when this is all over, don't shop there. All right? Just keep your money to yourself, or go somewhere else and shop with someplace that somebody's complying. In other words, don't reward bad behavior. It's simple as that. Help us to police these places. I don't mean you go in and you demand they stop. Don't get involved in that. We'll do that. But you can do a lot with your cell phone, and you can do a lot with your wallet. And so remember who's not being compliant, and that'll help us a lot. That was a question that you had. Anything else for me? I'll shut up.
Question. Do you see this possibly being extended, this deadline of, April 30th?
I have no idea. I just know one thing, that the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office and Steve Prator, there was a little quote that I read just this morning, and it kind of meant something to me. It said, if you're going through hell, don't stop. And so that's what we're doing, okay? And we're not stopping. We're going to make it through this, all right? So just go with that. Anything else? Thanks. I thought I was through.
You will be after this. I know you mentioned earlier about, you don't know it's a curfew. If that was to, happen, have you looked or talked to other sheriffs?
Oh, yes, sir.
What's
I've talked to other sheriffs. Most other sheriffs that have implemented this, they have smaller towns, within their parish. If we do a parish-wide curfew, that means everybody in Shreveport got to shut down, okay? And we literally, we don't have the people to police this. And we don't want to put a bunch of people in jail because we don't want to crowd them up together. And we don't have any jail space that give you 6-foot social distancing. And so we really don't have the mechanism to enforce a curfew unless it'd have to be a drastic situation. And like I say, it'd be the sheriff. I can do it parish-wide, but I wouldn't do it without talking to the mayor and getting what he thinks about it, and talking to the mayors within the other jurisdictions, and the parish commission, and the president of the commission. I mean, it's not going to be Steve Prator just said, hey, we're going to have a curfew, because everybody just kind of laughed about it and going about their business. We got to be serious about it if we get to that situation.
Sure. One more question. What would be the number to call if you really do want to report bad business?
Well, you would call the regular patrol number for the Shreveport Police Department, or the regular patrol number for the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office. Don't call 911 because it's not an emergency, okay? Now, if you see somebody in there, well, you know what, I won't give an example of a 911 call, but don't bog us down there, because we're getting bogged down. Is that it? Okay.
I think you told me that my gloves aren't any good. Could you expand on
Your gloves are filthy, because I watched you touch your nose with them. So, look, the problem with gloves are that they're for very short-term use. I see people in Walmart touching every single thing, then reaching in their purse, pulling out their credit cards, touching their keys, bringing all that dirt home with them. Those gloves give you a false sense of security. It is better for you to be conscious of the fact that you need to wash your hands a lot. Every time you think about it, just go wash your hands. It is better for you to be safe by washing your hands than wearing gloves. If you're gonna wear gloves, you have to know that you have to take them off and change them frequently. You have to know how to take them off. And I know the mayor's gonna put some stuff on his about how to do that, but you wanna pull the dirty side off with your gloved hand, and then you wanna slip your hand inside the glove, the empty hand, no gloved hand, inside the dirty glove, and pull it off and throw them away. You don't want to touch all the germs that you've been touching while you're wearing those gloves. Then you want to go wash your hands. They give you a false sense of security. So it's okay if that's something you choose to do, just know how to do it correctly.
Dr. Whyte, Mario mentioned it on behalf of all of us. My prayers are with you for your husband recovery. We know this is a tough time for you, having to be in front of everybody, unable to visit him. So I want you to know on behalf of a lot of people that I've seen on my Facebook video feed, prayers are for you.
I appreciate that. I'll be honest that post was not meant to be public. When it was found to be public, I felt like maybe the Lord was using him as a tool. And if he can use him as a tool to help people realize that it is touching everyone. My husband is an ex-Special Forces, run every day, eat healthy kind of guy with no health conditions. And he is on a ventilator in the ICU. This can touch anybody. You are not without risk just because you're young and healthy. He was healthy, maybe not as young as some, but relatively young and doing well. And he was obsessive about his PPE at work. He was obsessive about his staff. No one in his office is sick. So, this is something that we need as a community to realize. The only way we're going to stop this is for every single one of us to make a difference. But I do appreciate prayers. That's the one thing that's really, truly going to get him through.
I think everybody wants to know his name.
His name is William Whyte. I think it's been all over, but it's Bill. He goes by Bill, William, whatever. He'll take it all. So thank you. Thank you.
I have one thing, Dr. Whyte. The mask. I know a lot of questions have been about that and homemade masks and the difference between those. Do they also, for some of those, they provide a sense of false security, or maybe just go on the difference of knowing how to properly put on a mask and the difference in them?
So I know, again, the mayor's going to put a lot out for that, and I think the best thing to do is have it in front of you so you can pay attention to it. But the truth is, if you're wearing a cloth mask, if it gets wet or moist, it is not protecting you. So as you breathe that hot air in and out, and it becomes wet on the outside, then it's not as protective as you think it is. If you wear them, please don't fiddle with them. It's hard to get used to wearing them. People want to adjust them. Don't pull on the bottom of them, pull on the top of them. And most importantly, don't hang them from your neck and then go back and put them back on. Once you take them off, you have now touched that dirty part. Now your hands are dirty, remember. And now the clean part has been exposed. So now you're going to put that clean, what you thought is clean, back on your face. And you're just as much risk, if not more, than if you just didn't wear it. And keep your social distance. So if you're going to wear it, I understand people's fear and wanting to do that to protect themselves. Just do it the right way.
How are you feeling today?
How am I feeling today? I'm exhausted, but I'm good. I'm healthy. And just so everybody knows, I have been tested negative twice, so don't be afraid. I'm good. So.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else?